What up, guys? James from Bolt Bros here. Want to talk about day one free agency? A lot of fireworks, a lot of additions with his team, and players even coming back. So fun to be able to see what day one brought us, and excited to see what two gives us. But let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Bolt Bros, let's go.
Bolt Bros.
All right, guys, once again, appreciate all the love and support. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel if you've not. We'd love to be able to hear from you in the comments below about day one for free agency. What a day thus far. We didn't really have that splash pickup, if you want to say. I just want to say to you guys, I think we're kind of understanding what Harbaugh and Joe Hortiz look to do. And he looks to be able to get a bunch of really good players all throughout. Now, still, we got plenty of money to work with. It's not like we did any heavy contract, cap hitting base type contracts thus far. I mean, we got a lot of gaps, guys. 22 free agents on this team, I believe. We got a lot of gaps that we got to fill. But we got a lot of time where we could go out and go get a big hitter. I mean, just maybe, what do you think? T. Higgins possibly to this team? Who knows? Maybe there's a way that can figure out itself. Obviously, the Bengals got a lot of things going on right now, and they're getting a lot of heavy contracts that are going to basically cost them way more money to keep T. Higgins there now too. So, and even to say Jamar Chase too. So, anyways, let's talk Chargers here, guys. So, day one started out with a bang. You brought back Khalil Mack. I know my brother Andrew already did a video on that 1 year, $18 million contract. Great to have Khalil Mack back for another year. Kind of makes sense. From what I saw early on, it's about an $8.8 million cap hit. So not too bad for us. It doesn't crush us on the cap hits by any means. So it's a good way to basically get a nice solid leader on the edge for us. Do we go out and get another edge? I would assume so. I believe that we're going to probably pin Tuli Tuipulotu as the other starter to the other side of Khalil Mack. But I do think that we'll probably jump into the drafting of another edge player. So keep an eye out for that, guys. So great to have return of the Mac back. So love to see that. Another signing here, Teair Tart. This one happened a little bit later on in the day. Love to be able to see Teair Tart back. I was kind of talking a little bit about how, if we're not going to if we're going to bring back our whole core, I'd love to be able to at least see Teair Tart for 1 year minimum. He does sign up to a 1 year deal, $5.5 million, and it's up to $5.5 million. So there's probably going to be some sort of level of, accelerators, performance-based type incentives and such too. So love to have him back. Think about Teair Tart. He just brings nastiness. He does a great job of pressuring the quarterback. All around, just a big dude, tough guy to block all around. I think he fits that physical nature that they want at that defensive tackle side for us. Now, once again, this is a very, very deep defensive tackle, defensive line type draft. There could be a bigger pickup also in the defensive line side of things. We'll see where it goes. I did also want to add Poona Ford did sign a 3-year deal with the Rams, so he did stay with the Los Angeles area, but with the Los Angeles Rams. That D-line over at the Rams is going to be ridiculous, guys. Ridiculous. So very, very good D-line over there. So congrats to Poona Ford. We'll see you on the other side, my guy. Now, moving on. Teair Tart. Love to see that happening for us. But with another internal candidate here, JK Scott, multi-year contract, 2-year deal for him at, I believe it was $6 million for him. Love to see what JK did with this team. He's done some great things with us as a punter. I think he does a great job with hang time. I think all around did a phenomenal job for us. And he's done a great job with us for some time. So congrats to JK. 6-year, $2 million, 2-year, $6 million contract with the Chargers. Love to be able to see him back and love to be able to see stability once again for us for the punt game. And moving on, Bradley Bozeman. Sorry, guys. Grab something here real quick. Bradley Bozeman signed a multi-year extension. Now, I don't know the figure of what that multi-year extension is. I'm sure maybe by the time we post this video, the contract numbers will be out. But it did say it wasn't the same level as the 3-year, $18 million contract. that he signed with the Panthers previously before he came to the Chargers. So my thoughts of it is that like maybe it's going to be one of those things where it's just, let's say it's a 2-year contract extension for give or take $7 to $8 million, cap hit of give or take $3 million. I mean, he only signed a little bit over a hair over $1 million with us last year as a 1-year contract. So a little bump isn't bad for him too. Now, the big thing about it is with his signing, and I was saying maybe Bradley Bozeman will go to guard, hence because some of the reports that Zion Johnson is getting snaps at center. Maybe Zion Johnson will be the center next year, pushing Bradley Bozeman to guard, right guard, or left guard, whichever way they want to push it around. Now, we'll see what happens with Trey Pipkins on top of that too, but maybe that's where they're looking at. Bradley Bozeman is a leader with our team. Obviously, you think that hit that when he was kind of standing up for Justin Herbert too. You got to love to see a guy like that. And he's a great locker room presence, a guy that you could probably put into guard if you want to, or keep him at center. I think all around, it's a very, very good signing, and keeping an internal guy that's been with the team already too. So he's fitting with the Harbaugh scheme in that sense, but we'll see how it goes for us down the road and where his position will be. Will he be center? Will he be guard? And he has played guard with the Ravens, so, and did well at that position too. So we will see if Bradley Bozeman stays as a center or gets moved to a guard. But I like the signing, a good depth signing also on top of that too. So moving on, one of our first pickups here from an outside candidate was Donte Jackson, 2-year, $13 million contract. So when I first looked at this, I was like, wow, he didn't really have the best of year with the Steelers, but he played a lot of man coverage, and he's really not a man coverage type guy. He's more of a zone-based coverage type guy. So he'll probably play a lot more off coverage with us. He'll fit a lot more in Jesse Minter's defense because we don't do a whole heck of a lot of man all around. He did play about 82% of Steelers defensive snaps in 2022. So he's basically an every down player kind of guy. He's going to play a lot more off coverage for us. The biggest thing that I love about is a playmaker. He had 15 starts for the Steelers, finished with a career high 5 interceptions, tied for 6th in the NFL in 2024. 7th season, he's got 19 interceptions and 54 pass deflections. So I think what's going to be a big thing about this, let's say, I assume we're probably not bringing back Asante Samuel Jr. I assume that we're not going to bring him. You know, he just maybe wasn't a system fit for us. We'll see where he ends up landing at that point. And I do think that he's going to be potentially paired with our guy Tarheeb Still. I think that's going to be a great pairing because you got to think of what Tarheeb Still did. He was an absolute animal getting picks, and honestly, I think was a fantastic player and was just behind. I think he was number 2 to be able to be defensive rookie of the year with 4 picks. You obviously picked 6 and everything too. You add basically a Donte Jackson, pairing him with a Tarheeb Still, and then you even still have a Cam Hart. That's a really good core of cornerbacks to work with there too. We'll see where it ends up going. And obviously, Fulton is another guy that could even be able to find his way back, but I don't know if it's going to be a fit at this point. I feel like Fulton did get kind of burned quite a bit, unfortunately, so I don't know if he's going to be a system fit. But with Donte Jackson, I love to be able to have 2 guys that can be playmakers on the sides. I think that's really, really good for this team, getting more picks and making it harder for teams to throw on us and have that hesitation of, hey, man, this guy could go after the ball, jump the route, find a way to get picks. Him and Tarheeb, I think, could be a really, really stud cornerback set for this team. So, and on top of that, he's a very good run defender too. I think he does a better job of being more physical, attacking the runner, and be able to sack the line all around. So I think he is a very physical guy on the perimeter and a solid defender all around. So he was actually 37th best in cornerback in run defense in 2024. So not bad at all. Plus, it gives us a veteran guy all around too. So I like the signing. I think it's a very, very good signing here. And I think that Donte Jackson will add a lot to this team. Now, moving on from another Donte Jackson and another signing here, another Steeler find his way to this team. Najee Harris to the Chargers, 1-year deal. It's up to I'm seeing the reports, $9.25 million deal. I wasn't a big fan of this one in a couple ways. One, I don't feel like Najee Harris is that explosion, that one guy that's going to basically find a way to get you those long type runs that's going to basically kill you with his legs. But the thing about Najee is that he's a very reliable guy. Started every single game in the NFL that he's been able to play. 100%. He's played every single game, every single year. So he's an extremely reliable guy. And I think that's kind of where the Chargers want to go with. They just want reliable guys that will go out there and play every single game with us. Now, I'm kind of glad it was just a 1-year contract. It's a guy that you could say, hey, look, he could be at that price. He's probably a starter with us. He's a guy that's basically going to be out there for you every single game. And I think that's what their one concern was. Now, obviously, letting go of Gus Edwards, you need a reliable, big body kind of guy. And Najee Harris obviously fits that ticket for this team. I just don't know if he's going to basically kill you with his legs. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's just a stable back for you, too. But, you never know. He's going to fit kind of a run scheme now. He could be that starting guy for us in that run scheme and just be that guy that'll be the ground and pound guy for us from the get-go. Physicality is going to be a big thing, obviously, with this team, as we know. So I think Najee fits that bucket very, very well for us, too. Now, just to kind of elaborate on comparison of Najee Harris to J.K. Dobbins. Now, J.K. Dobbins, has still a chance to be able to come back. Now, you might want to say Najee and J.K., I'd be pretty comfortable with that. They could be a great 1A, 1B type situation for us, and guys that can both kill you on the ground. Now, Najee Harris as a rusher, he got 303 snaps compared to 220 versus J.K. Carries, he had basically 263 versus 195 for J.K. J.K. probably would have got a little closer to that if he didn't have 4 games out due to a knee situation. The thing is, though, Najee was 14th in rushing yards, 1,043. Obviously, we haven't had a 1,000-yard back since, Melvin Gordon, I believe, in 2018, I believe it was. So we'd love to be able to see a 1,000-yard back, but J.K. Dobbins had 905 yards and 21st in the league and did it in 4 less games. So it wasn't like that far off, and he would have easily got over 1,000 yards. Now, Najee only had 6 rushing touchdowns compared to 9 versus J.K. Dobbins. I think that's kind of a big thing, too, to look at. 35th in yards per attempt at 4, but J.K. was 13th in the league at 4.6. So there was a lot more bang ability, a lot more downfield threat type situations, longer yard type situation with J.K. Dobbins. Now, neither back had a fumble last year, which is phenomenal to see. 5th in missed tackles from Najee Harris at 63 versus 22 forced missed tackles with J.K. Dobbins. Obviously, 4 games less, but that stat to me, the Najee Harris 63 forced missed tackles is huge. I think it's bottom line having that gutting, that tough type yard type situation with Najee that fits extremely well with the physicality to this team. Now, I'm going to basically look at it like this. Explosive runs is where my head's at with this whole Najee Harris, because I don't really see that being something that Najee does a lot. But he basically did about the same thing as J.K. Dobbins did. I mean, 8th in the league for Najee Harris at 10-plus yard runs. He had 30 of those. To J.K. he was 11th in the year with 27. So Najee has that ability. Now, I think his longest yard run of his career was, 31, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments on that one, guys. But bottom line, J.K. has the ability to be that explosion type back. Najee has that ability to be that physical back, in my opinion. I do think, once again, this is a very deep draft for running backs. I do think that if we don't get J.K. Dobbins, we're probably going to pull in another back. Let's say it's Amari and Hampton. It could be kind of 2 similar backs with Najee Harris, in my opinion. Or if you found a way to get Ashton Genty and you have that thunder and lightning kind of combo at that point. Who knows? Now, adding Najee Harris, too, there is something that he's had a lot of pass snaps, too, versus J.K. Dobbins. I mean, they're a little bit more pass snaps with J.K. Dobbins. But at the same side, I do feel like Najee is going to bring a little bit more to the pass catching ability. So Najee had 46 targets versus J.K. Dobbins having 36. Routes run 220 versus 212. I think it might add just that little bit more addition to adding more of a pass catching guy. I mean, the stats aren't too far off with JK. 32 receptions with J.K. Dobbins versus 36. 283 yards with Najee Harris for those 36 catches versus 153 yards with J.K. Dobbins. So I think that's where the addition is going to be with Najee. He could be a little bit more of a threat with the ball in his hands through pass catching. Once again, did have, 14 missed tackles, 11th in the league when he was catching the ball, but did have 5 drops as a pass catcher compared to J.K. Dobbins' 2 drops with 4 missed tackles. So I think having the ball in his hands through pass catching might be kind of where there's that addition there too. But forced missed tackles is huge, guys. That's a big, big part of this whole puzzle here. And I think that adds a lot more of the physicality nature that the Harbaugh wants with his running back. Now, once again, J.K. Dobbins has an ability to come back too, right? So don't worry about that. But I also, once again, I think there's a lot to be able to think about with the whole draft too. So there's a lot to be looking at, guys, but day one was a fun one, guys. So once again, want to be able to hear from you what your thoughts is. Maybe grade the draft for day one thus far. I shouldn't say draft. Free agency pickups for the day one. And I'd love to be able to hear your grade scale from A to F. Let us know. Once again, James from Bolt Bros. Let's go.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast.